we're still touching on how to be able to develop a very peaceful society, a peaceful life for an individual, and also if we are living as a group as well. The books have got so many complications. We keep holding on to the book. I humbly greet you. I humbly, with sincerity, every sincerity of part of me, greet you and wish that you are side by side with me on these journeys as trying to discover answers to most of our daring problems, the problems that challenge us every day. And I've made it simple and easy as something to do with culture and religion. So we're still touching on the Holy Bible, that's the red letter Bible. I also have a plain Bible here, which is Possibility Thinkers Bible. But this is the Holy Quran for the Muslims. Actually, they depend on the Holy Quran. I have to clarify with the Possibility Thinkers Bible. It's the same as it's also the same as the Holy Bible, the Revised Standard. It's all Revised Standard versions. They are all up to standard in terms of the English translation. If you compare that to the Quran is a little bit behind in terms of the translation. The English is not straightforward as to current English speaking, but yeah, we can still understand it. The thing is not about having the core details of what the book says, because nobody can actually. That's what people are striving on every day, and that is what this also is about. I pull it out for you to understand that if you're dealing with the Almighty God who created you, surely His words will be very clear to you, because He will speak to you for you to understand. If He cannot speak to you for you to understand, it's either He didn't create you well, perfect enough to be able to communicate with you, or one way or the other, it's not truly the living God that created you who is probably speaking to you. Because if it's the living God that created you speaking to you, then surely He has some assurance of ways of which He can communicate, or He means to communicate with you without any trouble. So it's up to us to figure it out. We've touched a few things. I also want us to look at a few things in the Bible also. When you open a page like the warnings of against idolatry. Now, if the God talks about idolatry, Jehovah talks about idolatry, or the Bible presents words that has come from Jehovah in a sense of idolatry. Idolatry in so many ways, like not necessarily what we might think of engaging in some sort of sexual activity easily. It could be part of that, but majorly the idea of idolizing things that are not really God, worshiping things that are outside of what Jehovah has been described or defined to be. And surely if you're doing anything outside of that, then you are not in the understanding or the sort of the group of which you're meant to belong in. That is the Jehovah group, or the Christian group, or the whichever way you might, Judaism group, or whichever way it is. Because out to Jehovah alone, it is like this. The claim is coming from two groups: the Christians and the Judaism. They all are following Jehovah. Allah is a bit different, or this sound different from the other, even though they might also claim along the same line, because they all claim Abrahamic God, but the Muslim make it a bit different at all because of the names that they have defined for them, for their worship. We stick to how we can get the answers right. So I hope you're with me here. The idolatry says Deuteronomy chapter 4. It opens us up to what? The warning against idolatry. Now we want a peaceful world. Is that what this is about? Yes, that's what this is about. That's what I'm doing this. Now, some of the teachings and the instructions from the Bible, comparing them with the Muslim book. to see whether Allah or Jehovah is the ultimate God that has spoken. There are texts in the Bible that reveals Jehovah as the God of the Jews, and plainly reveal him as a very powerful God, and that he has a very strong relationship with his followers, or with his those who believe in him, or those who chose him to be his God, the God. And he demonstrates himself to them as the God, the creator of all things, without any hindering or sort of preventing himself from such a claim. He sort of fully make that claim. It is also the same with the Muslims. They also have the same sort of approach in Allah, and that's how it is. I mean, nobody would declare himself differently. Now, the claim then stands in the place in that demand of people to sort of see it as if it is a one God speaking. But I don't know where the error is coming from. I don't know why the message is not direct and so plain, plainly understood. Why should it be so complicated? Why should the same God speak to the Christians of another group or another generation, or a generation like this, and another generation like the way he's been speaking to them? The way the Muslims coming from and presenting God, and the way the Christian presenting God. We go off to the Buddhists also, the way they are presenting the idea of faith. We can go to other areas and discover more. What is the main one core presentation that we all have to stick to? This is the whole thing. We don't have that. So it's either there are gods, or there are no gods. If you agree that there are gods, then you have agreed to sort of think along the line to believe that it is not just one God that you're dealing with. You're dealing with many gods. So not to drag it too long, I just want to touch these things. Look at it. I mean, listen to it. Check it up yourself. Deuteronomy 4. The points that I may pick out of it. I may not go detailed to express every little word and every little phrase, but there are key things I'll pull out. And then think about it yourself to also see whether it's really coming from an authentic end. That is, has it got any strong basis by which we can link to say that an almighty wise God is putting forth these words to the human race or not. In Deuteronomy 4, if we picked on the whole thing, is about, as I said, the worship of idols, images. And this is a warning from Jehovah God to all his followers never to worship idols. Not to. If they do that, that means they are offending him, and in that sense he would sort of will not forgive them, punish them in so many ways. He says in 7, for what great nation is there that has God so near to it as the Lord our God is to us, for whatever reason we may call upon him? That's what I just said. You see, Jehovah God is a God of the Jewish people, and he is so close to them, and it is not compared to any other gods with all the nations and the gods that they say or they claim. You can compare that to the Jewish and their God. That is a claim that the Jehovah is making in the book, or the book presents Jehovah to be making. In verse 7, for what great nation is there that has God so near to it as the Lord our God is to us, for whatever reason we may call upon him. For whatever reason you call on God, anything, even if you want candy, any reason you want to call God. Somebody slap you, you want to call on God. Yes, he's so close that you can reach him for minor issues. Any reason. He didn't say some, he said any reason. Your eye is troubling you, somebody is insulting you, so you can go to Allah. That's how close it is. He can deal with even the minor issues, the trivial ones. Now we stepped on to, let's say, 10. It says, especially concerning the day you stood before the Lord your God in Horeb, when the Lord said to me, gather the people to me, and I will let them hear my words, that they may learn to fear me all the days they live on the earth.